Hi, my name is Nidhu B. Kapoor and I am owner and sharer of the world's first language of light that works at the speed of light with the light to bring you more light. You will experience the lightness for yourself in seconds and moments in this recording itself. Known as the decrease, this is the fastest, quickest, simplest language of transformation in the world. Have some water and let's begin. I turn to the light, not fears. I turn to the light, not past mistakes. I turn to the light, not judgments. I turn to the light, not disappointments. I turn to the light, not losses. I turn to the light, not betrayals. I turn to the light, not rejection. I turn to the light, not procrastination. I turn to the light, not bad habits. I turn to the light, not denials. I turn to the light, not panic. I turn to the light, not stress. I turn to the light, not struggles. I turn to the light, not negativities. I turn to the light, not toxins. I turn to the light, not mindless behaviors. I turn to the light, not self-sabotage. I turn to the light, not confusion. I turn to the light, not conflict. I turn to the light, not ego. I turn to the light, not confusion. I turn to the light, not traumas. I turn to the light, not regrets. I turn to the light, not criticism. I turn to the light, not intolerance. I turn to the light, not impatience. I turn to the light, not stuckness. I turn to the light, not blockages. I turn to the light, not sorrow. I turn to the light, not despair. I turn to the light, not hopelessness. I turn to the light, not pain. I turn to the light, not hurt. I turn to the light, not grudges. I turn to the light, not disharmonies. I turn to the light, not injustice. I turn to the light, not racism. I turn to the light, not sexism. I turn to the light, not hatred. I turn to the light, not frustration. I turn to the light, not worry. I turn to the light, not imbalance. I turn to the light, not overwhelm. I turn to the light, not pressure. I turn to the light, not assumptions. I turn to the light, not headaches. I turn to the light, not ignorance. I turn to the light, not suffering. I turn to the light, not unhappiness. I turn to the light, not tension. I turn to the light, not strain. I turn to the light, not jealousy. I turn to the light, not greed. I turn to the light, not unease. I turn to the light, not acidity. I turn to the light, not slouching. I turn to the light, not isolation. I turn to the light, not power gains. I turn to the light, not manipulation. I turn to the light, not anxiety. I turn to the light, not envy. I turn to the light, not failures. I turn to the light, not indigestion. I turn to the light, not blame. I turn to the light, not shame. I turn to the light, not guilt. I turn to the light, not scarcity. I turn to the light, not who are me. I turn to the light, not lack. I turn to the light, not results. I turn to the light, not PTSD. I turn to the light, not my family's traumas. I turn to the light, not my childhood traumas. I turn to the light, not my generation traumas. I turn to the light, not my ancestral traumas. I turn to the light, not my past lives traumas. I turn to the light, not my pre-verbal traumas. I turn to the light, not my prehistoric traumas. I turn to the light, not my genetic traumas. I turn to the light, not my animal lifetimes traumas. I turn to the light, not my karmic traumas. I turn to the light, not misfortunes. I turn to the light, not complaint. I turn to the light, not abandonment. I turn to the light, not weakness. I turn to the light, not falsities. I turn to the light, not low vibrations. I turn to the light, not untrustworthiness. I turn to the light, not distrust. I turn to the light, not nervousness. I turn to the light, not low self-esteem. I turn to the light, not poverty. I turn to the light, not paranoia. I turn to the light, not narcissism. I turn to the light, not ignorance. I turn to the light, not lies. I turn to the light, not distrust. I turn to the light, not illusion. I turn to the light, not dark. I turn to the light, and the light turns towards me. I turn to the light, and the light turns to me. I turn to the light, and the light turns to me. Have water again, and see how you were feeling before, how you are now, and let me know as well. See you on the 4th of June, 6:30 p.m. IST, 6 a.m. PT, and 9 a.m. ET for how you too can use light medicine and become a light doctor in just 1 minute. Looking forward.